Welcome to LawNext PR, the podcast where we put a spotlight on the latest news coming out of the legal tech industry. This is Bob Ambrogi, and in each sponsored episode of LawNext PR, I interview a legal tech company about its latest news and developments. Today, we're talking about news just announced by Querious, which calls itself the first legal conversational intelligence platform. And here to share the news is Hillary Bowman, founder and CEO of the company. Hillary, welcome. How are you?
Thank you, Bob. Great. Nice to see you.
It's good to see you. And we've talked before. And of course, you were the winner of the Startup Alley competition that I help run at ABA Tech Show. So congratulations again on that. And you've obviously gained some traction and had a number of developments just since then, which was earlier this year. But you have news to announce today. So why don't you tell us what the news and we'll talk about it a little bit.
Yes, thank you. So we are absolutely thrilled to announce that we have partnered as a business partner with the Alabama State Bar Association. So as you probably know, the Alabama State Bar Association has a mission of bringing together various technologies, business partners that enhance the practices of attorneys that are members of the Bar Association. And they also wish to, extend those technologies to improve access to justice. So actually, after the ABA Tech Show, I connected with Jillian Evans. She's a former prosecutor. She's the law practice advisor at the Alabama State Bar Association. And she sat for a demo of Querious and just immediately recognized the value as someone who previously practiced law and didn't have the benefit of technology like Querious that can flag issues and suggest questions in real time. She immediately saw the value. And so it started off with a demonstration. Then we put together a webinar for the members of Alabama, and that led to over 400 attorneys attending the webinar. And then that led to announcing the partnership. So it's been a really exciting few months.
It's pretty exciting. And as I said, you're still a relatively new company. So this is a milestone to get that kind of recognition from a bar association. So what exactly does it mean for members? I assume what this means is that they now get some kind of a special deal or some kind of a discount on using Querious?
That's right. So we offer special pricing on our monthly, annual, and enterprise plans to the attorneys who are members of the Alabama State Bar. And that's effective immediately. So there's a press release and a special landing page for those members to take advantage of the benefit.
So I've said this before, and I'll say it again, but what's interesting about Querious is it's unlike any product I've ever seen on the legal market. It's really unique. And so I know what it does, you know what it does, but for the benefit of those who are watching or listening to this right now who are not familiar with it, can you just kind of explain what it is you do?
Sure. So the objective of Querious is twofold. So first, in your virtual client conversations, it helps you deliver sharper advice. After your conversation, it helps reduce the administrative burden and makes those follow-up activities effortless. So the way we specifically do that is when you join your virtual meeting with clients, we send Querious into your meeting and we analyze your conversation and we suggest in real time potential legal issues, insightful questions you can ask, and even bring to you relevant legal content about any issues that have been flagged. And the value of this is, even for experienced attorneys, we don't know every area of law. And so by bringing this content to an attorney in real time without having them prompt the product to do anything, we think this is how the future of law will be practiced going forward. And as you are likely aware, attorneys are spending an increasingly significant amount of time in virtual conversations, whether it's through hybrid or remote work or just clients that live in a different place than them. We really see the need in the market for a tool that just makes attorneys' lives better in these virtual conversations. And then after the conversation, the way that we reduce that administrative burden or just make the follow-ups effortless is we also offer a detailed set of notes to the attorneys based on the conversation and the legal issues flagged. You can also dig into the sources that support the legal content. And then separately, we provide a summary email that can help attorneys quickly and easily communicate with colleagues about an issue that came up in the conversation or communicate with their clients. And then lastly, I'll just mention there's a billing entry, which attorneys really love. So we auto draft their billing narrative and the timestamp, the duration from the conversation. So really, we think we bring this product together for the attorneys in a way that's really natural to their workflow and does so in a way that leverages AI in an ethical and trustworthy way.
I think what's interesting about it to me is it's almost like having a second brain sitting with you during a conversation, or maybe like having an associate sit with you during a conversation. It might be a better way to put it. But I know just from my own experience that so often you're kind of consumed with the conversation. You're focusing on the conversation you're having, and you're not necessarily thinking through every aspect of it, everything you should be thinking about. And there's so many times you get off a call and you say to yourself, darn, I wish I had asked this, or I wish I had thought of this. And this is kind of doing that for you while you're on the call, right?
It is. It is in a sidebar, an area off to the side of your meeting window. We can offer suggested questions. So we can say, dig into, where did these activities take place? Who was involved? What did the parties involved say? Things like that. So it just helps. It's high-powered brainstorming at the end of the day. It's just a tool that helps you brainstorm better in the moment because we know that laws are constantly changing. Clients are becoming more complex. Their businesses are more complex. And we really need to be able to leverage this powerful technology to deliver better advice.
So, as you introduce this to the Alabama State Bar, if I am a lawyer in Alabama, what do I have to do to get started taking advantage of this?
Sure. So if you go to the joint release statement that the Alabama State Bar published on their website starting yesterday, there is a link that takes you to the specific landing page for the Alabama members. And then from there, you can take advantage of the special pricing. And onboarding to the product only takes a few minutes. There's really no special training or lengthy implementation. You create an account, go through the onboarding steps, and then you connect your calendar and you can start using Querious in a matter of minutes.
What kind of practice is this right for, or what kind of lawyer is this right for?
Yeah, so we've seen attorneys across a variety of practice areas adopt this tool already. So we have corporate lawyers, litigators, healthcare attorneys, IP, family law, and even immigration. So it's been exciting to see how attorneys in lots of different areas of law see this as a value add to the virtual conversations that they're already having with their clients.
So pretty much runs the gamut.
Yes.
Kind of doesn't matter what kind of practice. What about the question of the confidentiality of the conversations that you're having with a client and that Querious is kind of sitting there listening to? Should lawyers be concerned about any issues around confidentiality?
So, as I've mentioned probably in previous discussions with you, I practiced law for over 12 years. So, I was a healthcare attorney. I spent half of that time in large law firms, also as in house counsel. And I had to think about those challenging questions about, how do I maintain confidentiality? How do I, respect attorney client privilege? And when I built this product from the very beginning, engineers and I sat down and thought through what does the architecture need to look like in order to protect, the most sensitive information, client information. And so the way we've done that is through a lot of different steps. We host it in a secure cloud. We pull it out personal information from any transcribed texts. We privately deploy our large language models, which means all the traffic in and out of those large language models are from our product. We're not leveraging public models. All of these steps, including deleting any audio files or transcriptions immediately after the conversation, all of these steps go to ensuring that there's reasonable security safeguards in place, which, when you look at case law about attorney client privilege or ethical opinions about confidentiality, all of them really boil down to, did the parties involved have an expectation of privacy, and were there reasonable security safeguards in place? And so we've gone above and beyond, like unlike any other product on the market that attorneys can leverage. We have gone above and beyond to ensure that it is a secure and trustworthy product.
Your announcement says that law firms using Querious see an average of $36,000 per lawyer in improved realization. How do you calculate that? How do you get there?
Sure. So we, as I mentioned earlier, we reduce the administrative burden of every client conversation. And one very tangible way we do that is by auto drafting your billing narrative and timestamp. And so we've talked to our users, and that saves about 5 minutes every hour of virtual meeting time. So if you take that time and then you also calculate how many hours on average you're spending in virtual meetings a year. And so we average it's about 5 hours a day for attorneys, 50 weeks a year. When you convert the reduced administrative time of not having to draft those billing entries from, I think it's like 12,500 hours of virtual meetings, if you convert that into billable time at an average billing rate of $353 an hour, you get $36,000. And that is simply by taking advantage of the auto drafted billing narrative. So we're not even quantifying. You can use Querious and identify new legal issues that you can do work with your client on, or that you can share or refer to a colleague. We're not even taking into account the opportunities to find new ways of working with your client. We're really just focused on if you can spend less time doing non-billable administrative work and instead convert that into billable work, there's real dollars there.
So you've done this partnership with the Alabama State Bar. Are you looking to other bars to do the same thing?
Yes, there are a handful in the works that I cannot publicly announce today, but would love to share it with you very soon. Yes.
That sounds
Yep.
good. Okay.
Yep.
And for people for lawyers who are not members of the Alabama State Bar, how can they find out more about Querious? How do they get started on this?
Sure. So if you go to our landing page, querious.ai, Querious.ai, there is a button at the upper right that says try for free. And so you can actually get started today. You can go there, create an account, experiment with using it in your virtual meetings in a matter of minutes. And so that's a great way to learn about this new product. When we were building it over the past year and a half, one of the things we identified is that because it was so unique, there weren't any parallel or tools that folks could compare it to. We really felt strongly that this needed to be available in a way that attorneys could try. And that's been a very, very popular opportunity.
Yeah, which reminds me, I meant to ask you earlier, but
Mhm.
which platforms does it work with? Which video meeting platforms does it work with? And are there applications that it integrates with?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for asking. So we integrate into Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and Google Meet. And the way we do that is through either a Microsoft Outlook calendar or a Google Calendar. So as long as you give Querious permission to access your calendar, we'll join meetings on any of those platforms. And then we've also added integrations with practice management tools, more coming on that with some big announcements in the weeks to come. But it's really added to the reduction of the administrative burden of timekeeping. So we're excited about that.
Hillary, you were, as you said, a practicing lawyer. How did you start down this entrepreneurial path?
So I had conversations with clients when I was practicing, and I was a decade into my practice, and I would encounter scenarios or questions from clients that really stumped me. So, as AI was becoming more popular, CEOs of companies that I was advising, they started asking me questions about using AI in their business, and it forced me to think, how could I leverage technology to ask even just better questions in the moment? I might not be able to answer their questions off the top of my head, but how could I leverage technology to have more productive conversations with clients in the moment? And it started off as an idea. I shared it with friends and people in my network, and one thing led to another, and here we are with a product in production. And it's so kind of sends goosebumps on my skin sometimes when I'm using it in a conversation. I'm like, wow, it's actually here in front of me.
That's great. We're just about out of time. Anything else you would like people to know?
Yeah, so if you're open to trying, technology in your virtual meetings to elevate your legal conversations, please go to Querious.ai and try our product. We really love feedback and we love to hear from attorneys that use it. We're building a really vibrant community of attorneys, as I mentioned, from a lot of different practice areas. And it's that feedback that goes into further development of the product. We take it really seriously. And then, yes, be on the lookout in your state for opportunities, CLE opportunities. As I may have mentioned earlier, I'm actually doing a webinar for the New York State Bar Association this afternoon. So it's been a really popular topic. Folks really want to hear more about leveraging AI in virtual meetings since we're all spending so much time on our laptops these days.
Right. Well, congratulations on this latest news, and I hope others will stay tuned for. It sounds like you've got a whole lot more news coming down the pike, so we
Yes.
will stay tuned to hear about that. Thanks so much, Hillary. Good to see you.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and that does it for today's episode. If you enjoyed it, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcast, or you can find us on YouTube at LawNext_PR. You can also find it all on the LawNext Legal Tech directory under the Resources tab. This is Bob Ambrogi. Thanks for joining us today.